Hey guys, it's Jasmine's Arch, aka Jasmine, your brow expert and your brow model. And I am still currently doing eyebrows as well at the Anastasia Beverly Hills. I've been there for 20 years, so please come by, get your brows done, learn a few tricks, and say hi. So today's gonna be ombre eyebrows. I'm sure you guys already do this, and if you don't know already what it is, it's from dark to light or light to dark. I love ombre brows because I think it's a timeless look. It's for everybody, and anyone can really do this. So give you a few tips and show you guys how easy it can be. This brow is already done, as you can see, and I went ahead and put really dark edges on my eyebrows. Now, you don't have to always go so dark, but for the demonstration purpose, I always usually use dark colors. And this side of the eyebrow it looks like there's some color on it, but it's actually tattoo, and we'll talk about that on another show. But it's kind of light to medium. So as I've said, my brows are tattooed, but I'm gonna go ahead and still put some powder on. But first, I'm gonna start off with the pencil. It doesn't matter what you guys end up using, whether it's a pomade or a pencil. I'm gonna start at the end, because you know, your end of the eyebrow, you're gonna want that the darkest, right? So use your pencil and fill in your eyebrows as dark as you can, or a mid-tone. You don't even say you want an ombre look, but you don't want a dark ombre. It doesn't matter how dark or light you want it. It's just really the technique that I want you guys to follow. And basically, my eyebrows are again tattooed, but you guys can just map out your eyebrows with making sure that the corner of the eyebrow is at the corner of the eye and the side of the nose right there. And your arch is always going to be at the pinch of your nose. So I always say pinch because it's in the inside of the nose and in the middle of the iris, and that's your arch right there. And then the front of the eyebrow is usually or always in the pinch of the nose, straight up and down. And that way you'll know that that's how far you go in. Okay, hope that helps. And so what I'm going to do is quickly fill in the eyebrows in the end first, and I'm just going to focus making it as dark or medium dark as I want to right here. So I typically fill them in, and sometimes I'll just like outline the eyebrow. That way I know where to stay inside. You don't want to go outside the eyebrow too much, because then you can spend too much time fixing the eyebrow application here. Okay, so we're filling in the ends, and no matter what color you choose, this technique is really the most attractive in my opinion. And if you guys haven't tried it already, I suggest this is the one to try. Okay, so I'm focusing here right at the end of the eyebrow, and you guys can already see how much darker this is compared to the front of the eyebrow. And this really gives you guys that look of, okay, now I see how ombre it can be. So I go to the middle, and then I start pressing lighter in the eyebrow, so that way the color isn't as dark as it was at the end. So I'm going lighter, and now if you're feeling like it's a little too much, but you like that depth, that's when you can grab the powder. The powder is a great product to use, right? If you guys aren't already using it, because it makes the product go on much lighter, and you have a better control of it. So make sure that you're using a lighter color than you typically would, because again, this is more for a background. And so I'm just applying, let me get a little bit of color here. I'm getting just a little bit and just filling it in the middle. And now this is a good way to kind of go over the pencil. This way you get that kind of a blended look, because you don't want that harsh dark light. You want it more like a dark, medium, and then light as you go up in the front. And so that's how a powder can really help do that. So you kind of go right in the middle, and then this is where you can go up in the front if you don't have a lot of hair up in the front. Now, if you guys have enough hair mainly up in the front or in the middle of the eyebrow, don't worry so much about putting a lot of color there, because anytime you put any product, even powder, on top of hair, it gets much darker, so you don't need to put that much color. Now, assuming that you guys don't have a lot of hair here, you can bring it all the way up in the front, and then you're sloughing off some powder, and you're still keeping it relatively lighter. Now you can go apply it this way, and that's it. You don't have to do any more than what you just did. Now for the front, I'm gonna just make it a little bit more fun before we end this ombre look, and use a dip brow. Anastasia Beverly Hills has a pomade which we call dip brow, And I love putting hair strokes up in the front as a finished ombre look. As you can see, you don't have to. You can just leave it at like this and call it a day. So I'm just grabbing a tiny bit of brow pomade. And keep in mind, I usually like to use the same brush for a creamy product and a different brush for like a powdery product, so that way the brush always stays nice and sharp and it stays in the best condition possible. So I am getting the now I'm like mixing up the powder and the pomade. Okay, so I'm getting the product out. I close the lid so that way there's no air going into the pomade, and I'm just pressing the color back and forth like this, so that way I'm getting just enough color, because keep in mind I'm only going to use the longest tip of the brush, where you can put enough color, just right up, enough hair strokes to give that kind of added dimension. And notice that I am just going to press right at the tip, and I'm just going past the line of the eyebrow. There you go. And now you can make these little not thick lines, but lines that are separate, because you can go in between those two lines and make it a little bit more natural looking. So I'm just going up and down, making sure that I am going over the powder. Now when you go over a powder, it really gives it more of a natural look, so that way the lines aren't so stark, but you can still see the line, and that's the important thing. Okay, so you notice that I'm just using the tip right here, the longest tip of the brush, and I'm barely pressing. You guys don't want to press that hard, because if you press hard, you don't get that sharp thin line. So I'm just going back up and bottom it up. There you go. Talking and applying sometimes does not work. Okay, so there you go. And I'm going in between the lines, so to add that kind of more of a natural. Now the best part about the natural look nowadays is that it doesn't have to be perfect. So if you get a line that's a little longer and some lines a little shorter, to me I think that's fine, because it gives that extra kind of natural look, and you don't need to have it perfect, because you know, no one is perfect, brows aren't perfect, so therefore you don't have to make it that perfect. And there you go. And you guys notice that it's still relatively lighter up in the front. I'm gonna just scratch out that little dot I made up in the top there. Love this roller brush. Don't ever forget not to use it, okay? So there you go. Pretty quick, pretty simple, right? Okay, so this is kind of a mid to a dark ombre look, but it's also just mainly about the technique. So just go dark and then light, and I promise you guys, you will get your ombre. So I hope this helps, and if you guys really like this tip today, please give me a like, a comment, but most importantly, please subscribe, so that way you guys can always get the latest tips. Until then, have a great day. Bye.